All right, and we're live here. Our guest today is going to be HammoTimee, and he is a guided content YouTuber, Twitch streamer. I saw you have an Instagram,
Oh,
Twitter. Tell me if I messed any of that up.
thank you. No, I appreciate it. That's very kind to like be pointing out those platforms. Though the last two especially is it's more just for me, like especially on Twitter, just me getting angry at stuff and posting nonsense. So yeah, thanks man. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be on.
Well, it's a pleasure having you here. Thanks for coming on. And we were just talking about like what types, with that list of different social media platforms, what type of content do you consume?
Yeah, like mainly I spend so much time on YouTube, and I think that was like why I started making more videos as well rather than just streaming. But yeah, I spend a lot of time watching YouTube, and it's all like I don't know if you know like Simon Whistler and all those channels like top tens and like geographics and warographics and those channels. They're amazing. And then it will swing like to gaming creators as well for Hoy or Siege. Even like even there's this one channel that I watch, and it's this lady who's like a trained opera singer, and she does like song breakdowns of like she does a lot of metal tracks, which is like so fascinating. So yeah, man, my views are all over the place on YouTube, and then a little bit of Twitch, not as much these days, but yeah. And then like I think most people, I spend far too much time on TikTok just doom scrolling. So
Any gaming, like what do you consume on YouTube in terms of like Hoi 4 gaming?
yeah, it's interesting because like as someone who makes primarily Hoi videos, since I've started making them, I watch a lot less. So like I used to watch a lot of like yeah, Feedback Gaming was probably the first Hoi creator I saw. And then like Bittersteel and also Pigeon as well. Actually, when I was learning, Pigeon was like so good as a go-to place to like get just quick and easy knowledge about the game that was easy to understand. And then yeah, when my friends and I were like want to be multiplayer nerds, we would watch like 71 Cloak and stuff. But then like since I've started making videos, I've not really been spending as much time watching Hoi. I'm watching more like yeah, a lot of like Rainbow Six Siege creators actually, or even like Spiffing Brit and Ambiguous Amphibian, people that play like all sorts of other games. And it's yeah, very different content to what I make, but I try to take stuff from it. Yeah, it's a little bit all over the shop. It doesn't make sense, I think.
No, I like it. Like being a content creator, you do get a bit inundated if you're just doing like Hoi 4 or just spending your time, like all your
Yeah.
time doing Hoi 4 is a bit much. But also, like, what I'm always afraid of is like, I started this channel after watching Feedback for a while,
Yeah.
and I really admire him. And then I don't
Yeah.
want to like copy anyone too much, but if you go to like another game or another genre, taking things that people are doing just with edits and things like that, actually, that is very relevant, and it will
Yeah, for
seem
sure.
fresh to a new community.
No, 100% agree. Even yeah, like there's stuff that I tried to take from I don't know if anyone listening knows Siege, but like your boy Roy and Evan Braddo, they're like two channels that they just play the game in such a fun and funny way. And even though most of my content up until now is kind of like guides, I like to think I'm a little bit funny, maybe to some people. So yeah, I'm trying to like figure a way to implement more of that kind of stuff, or even people like Ludwig, like in talk of the bigger streamers and YouTubers like Ludwig or like Moist Critical. The stuff they do is really cool, and I think one day it will be sick to do more, not necessarily just like gaming related stuff, but like yeah, I don't know, like bigger projects. Like Ludwig runs like tournaments, and Moist Critical's got like a comic book line that he's releasing. Like, not saying I want to do that stuff, but it's just cool, like the kind of creativity some people have.
Well, I think like after watching some of your videos, like you bring a fresh take to the Hoi 4 video, particularly
Oh,
the
well, thank you.
guides. Yeah, and then you like I can't remember a specific example, but I remember you put a bit of humor in it, and I was like, I would encourage you to do that more because when you do that,
Yeah.
like I'm like, well, I gotta see what's next, basically. So I keep
Yeah.
watching your video.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had probably it might have even been this, like, not to generalize being you're American, but you know from like Team America where it's like America, fuck yeah, and like that clip. I had that in one of my earlier videos, and yeah, it got like really good. Like I got a lot of comments from people being like, "Oh, that was hilarious." I'm like, "Well, it works." Like, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I like to see as well, you know, like even if it's just like a dumb crappy joke that like isn't really funny, but it's kind of like slightly humorous. I don't know. I get a kick out of that stuff. So I try to put some of that in my videos, but I'd still want to make it informative and like I want to make it concise. I like the kind of videos that turn me off are the ones that you click onto them and then it's just like you have to wade through so much crap to get like the info that you want. And it's just like a barrage of memes and like shit posting and stuff. And yeah, I don't want to go that far. So I think you got to like find the line. And I probably have a bit to go before the line, but you know, primarily my videos are kind of helpful. So I'd like to prioritize that, I guess. But yeah, thanks. That's really kind.
So your videos, your content, I can kind of tell. What did you do in terms of YouTube before this? I'm guessing that you had another channel or you did something content editing wise before this because you're fairly like you're good at editing and yeah. Tell us about your backstory.
That's like the nicest thing you possibly could have said to me because I don't know if you get this as well, but like I feel like the imposter syndrome creeps in sometimes. No, this is like my first YouTube channel. And
No way.
yeah, no, the first YouTube channel. I started off streaming on Twitch during COVID. I think like a lot of people probably. Yeah, you know, like we'll like lockdowns, especially in Australia. Like I live in Melbourne, so I think at one point we had the longest consecutive lockdown in the world, which was great because there was no COVID. But then we couldn't leave our house, so we couldn't do anything. So yeah, I just started streaming to kind of fill the time, and I was spending a lot of time gaming, hanging out with my friends online, which was like such a lifesaver as well, being able to still talk to people every day. Yeah, I just started streaming on Twitch and I was watching a lot of like guides on how to do it properly. Like I'm kind of the kind of person where if I want to do something, I want to do it properly, even if it's just a bit of a hobby. So yeah, I just like put a lot of time and effort into having fun doing it and trying to do it well. And then all of the advice from people was to start a YouTube channel to grow your Twitch. So that's why I started. And also I looked at it and, you know, there's not really a lot of guides out there for Hoi and the tutorial sucks. So that's why I started that. And my first videos, I don't know if you went that far back, but I literally was watching one with my partner a couple of days ago and I was like, ugh, like my first editing is, and like the recording sucks. The audio is horrible. Like the video quality sucks. So yeah, I've definitely come a long way, I think, but no, this is my first project, I guess. And I found out that I enjoyed making videos more than I enjoyed streaming. So that's why I've kind of like shifted. Yeah, if any people like saw me or like anyone in my community who like followed me streaming back in the day, I only do like one a week now, just to put more time into making videos and stuff because I enjoy it more. So yeah, but that is like the nicest thing anyone's ever said about my content because yeah, man, sometimes I feel like I've got a long way to go, especially compared to some other YouTubers in the space. Like the production quality can be so high. I feel like I lag behind.
Yeah, I would say the whole community, I'm scrolling through your YouTube page here, has really upped the content game with the new players that have come in, which is good. So overall, the Hoi 4 content has increased. But
Yeah.
the sneaky thing about your channel is I was looking the other day and your like shorts have an incredible amount of views. Could you tell us how do you design your shorts?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started making videos, I pretty much I was real slow to begin with because I didn't really see it as anything more than something to maybe help Twitch. And then once I started like getting into it, because I kind of had the goal to make like 20 long form videos and then I'll see how it goes from there. And as I was doing it, I was like, you know, like I said before, I was watching videos on Twitch to how to get better. So I was doing the same for YouTube. And a lot of people were like, you need to harness shorts because the discoverability of like a YouTube short and by extension, like TikTok and Reels, not so much Reels, they kind of suck, but like TikToks and shorts have such a wider reach than like just a long form video does. So when I started doing them, they were kind of crap. I was just like cutting down sections of my longer videos and posting them as shorts, and they did okay. Like they were kind of doing like 50-50, like the amount of views on my channel versus of like shorts versus like long videos. Yeah, and then recently, they just started to like really pick up, and that's when I was making like dedicated shorts. Like I wasn't cutting down like my longer videos. I wasn't cutting down streams. I was like coming up with quick ideas that I thought people might find interesting. Really like cutting out the fluff. So like no intro, just like bang, this is what you're getting. Here it is. And they started to do really well. And on TikTok as well, like I think I've had maybe 5 or 6 TikToks that have gotten over 100,000 views now, which is crazy to me. Yeah, and my first one, weirdly, my first TikTok that actually did numbers was an edit of one of my streams where I was playing Jedi Fallen Order, and I made the cardinal sin of saying a mistake about like something to do with Star Wars. Like I'm like, oh, this is a reference to that, and it wasn't. And bang, like overnight, I woke up like 99 plus notifications, like 100,000 views in this video. Everyone in the comments been like, "You idiot! Like you dumbass! You're a fake fan. You don't know what you're talking about."
Oh,
and I was
man.
like, "Oh no!" But now, like all the other, it took me a while to get the hang of like what works and what doesn't. But yeah, like for any new creators that are like looking to get into it, you definitely need to be making like shorts and TikToks because they're kind of like a cheat code, I guess. Like look at Stakuyi. Like I saw him on TikTok, and all of his TikToks and shorts and everything do huge numbers, and then like his long form videos are great too. But like I never would have found him without his TikToks and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like a testament to it working, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I was just I listened to Devin Nash, who's a big marketer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And his video the other day, maybe 2 days ago, was on network marketing, and it just the short of it was just be everywhere like you are. So
100%, yeah. And that's the thing, it's like you might not even get conversions. Like someone might see my TikTok, they might not even get a conversion. Like it's very low percentage of people that will go from a TikTok to your YouTube channel or even then to like your Twitch stream. But like even if you get 1 or 2 extra people watching your stream, that's like 1 or 2 human beings that are like watching over, you know, like it's a slow conversion, but they'll see you on TikTok, they'll see you on shorts, and then when your long form video pops up or like they see that you're on Twitch, they're going to be more inclined to click on it because they've got like that history and that curiosity rather than just being like, oh, well, there's like another Hoi 4 YouTube, like another Hoi 4 streamer that's probably just playing Germany all the time and I don't care about watching. So yeah, it definitely pays off.
So, what are you developing right now? Like you did that video where there was like 4 or 5 content creators, and you got clips from us, and that was good because it gave per different tips from all these different content creators.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything else recently?
Yeah. So that one is like that's actually coming out tonight, like the night of us recording this. So it hasn't actually gone live yet. So like I'm a little nervous. I hope I hope it goes well. No, I've teased to it. I've like posted a because I really want this one to go well. I've posted a like just on the community tab on YouTube, I posted like the thumbnail with everyone's like logos grayed out to be like, oh, like can you guess who it is? I'm super keen for that one. And that's like I guess an example of one of the I've taken ideas from other like niches and other YouTubers in other areas and being like, well, how can I like spin this to Hoi 4? So yeah, like that is a big one that I'm super keen to see how it performs. I've got some other ideas as well. Like, I've got like a lot of my videos are kind of like tip based or yeah, like I'll see a video idea on YouTube and it's like, you know, like one that's, I just finished doing today is like 5 1-minute habits. It was like for finance or some crap like that, but I'm like, easy. Like I could think of 5 1-minute habits to help people get better at Hoi. And it's all stuff that you can do in the like setup phase. And I feel like there's no one making those kind of videos in this space. Yeah, I've got like, I've got even like ideas like the best thing about each country, the worst thing about each country, and like literally ideas taken. I think it was like the worst thing about living in this country or the best thing about living in this country. So yeah, I literally steal ideas. Like Ludwig calls it like the yank and twist, I think, where
Yeah.
it's like you take someone's idea, put your own spin on it, and like make it work for you. And I really enjoy doing that because I think like it's kind of new and fresh, and I mean people seem to like it. So yeah, I've got a bit. Yeah, there's some stuff. So just stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, that is big on Twitch, like the
Yeah.
hook and twist or whatever they call it.
Yep.
And it does work because I think that there's some sort of interaction with the algorithm where the content style somehow feeds into the algorithm and then starts trending. And then it looks for
Yeah.
patterns. And then it's like, well, this worked here. And now we're going to do it here. And I'm pretty sure this
Yeah.
is going to work.
Even like the curiosity factor of it as well. Like if I saw a video sort of phrased in a different or interesting way, I'm gonna click on that because especially in Hoi, I feel like a lot of the playthroughs are like challenge content, gameplay of like an interesting playthrough that people have done. But I'm like, for one, I'm not as good at that. I'm not as good at that sort of stuff. And it takes so long to edit. And I get so bored sometimes when I'm editing my own stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I've wasted hours on a playthrough that I can't make interesting. And I thoroughly enjoy coming up with ideas like this, and it's easier to edit. It's a lot more interesting to me to edit and to put out there from like my perspective. Like I'll watch other people's videos, like Bittersteel's videos are so good. And then if I try to, I've done a couple of videos kind of like that, or some videos, and they've done all right. But like, man, it's a lot of work sometimes, especially like the play testing, like Man as well, or Mean Man, like
Mean. He
Mean.
it's yeah, the three is an E. And
Whoa.
he's like, the podcast will come out in like a week, and he's like, everyone says Bitter Steel correct, but they can't say my name correct. And I'm like,
I
whoa.
literally was I was talking to him and I kept saying like man, and yeah, that's gonna be in the video. I'm gonna have to correct that. Whoops.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets it all the time, but he's like, what I told him was like, your name is Mean. No one wants to call you Mean, so they skip the letter, you know?
Yep. Actually, so before the pod, when you asked me like how to pronounce my name, I was gonna tell you a story, right? So I I like my nickname just sort of like I don't know, when I was in like uni and stuff was just Hammo, and that was like what my gamer tag was and everything.
What's uni for the Americans?
Oh, like college.
University,
Yeah, so
okay.
yeah, like tertiary education. You're going up after high school and everything like that. So yeah, like moved down to Melbourne. Hammo was like kind of my nickname. Hammo was my gamer tag anyway. People didn't really call me that. And then I was trying to come up with an idea for my channel, and then I don't know, like decided on the idea of like, oh, like it's hammer time. I'm like, that's kind of funny, but like time spelt with one e was taken on like I think either Twitch or YouTube or something, and I wanted to get like the same username on everything from the start. So I'm like, I'll just chuck another e on the end. It's fine. And then the Twitch like text to speech, the TTS, reads out my name, HammoTimee. So every time I like subscribe to someone, every time I get raided, every time I raid, it's always like HammoTimee has subscribed or whatever. And that's just what like people in my community started calling that. My gamer friends started calling me that. So yeah, it's like, dude, sometimes I'm HammoTimee, sometimes I'm HammoTime. Yeah, you got to roll with it. I think it's kind of like a joke in my community now, though, which is kind of nice. So
Dude,
yeah,
it reminded me of Leroy Jenkins. Kind
Oh
of the
yeah,
way your name is just like Hammo time.
Leroy. Yeah, man, dude, that's such a like integral part of internet lore. Like, imagine trying to explain that to someone like 50 years ago. Like, they teleport to now and trying to explain the significance of this clip to them. It would be such a funny conversation.
I guess it was everything about that video because you could tell there's like all these guys. There's just a guy like trying to strategize, and this guy just goes right in.
So relatable, man. So relatable. It's like everyone's experienced that at some point in their gaming life. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. And I feel like that came out in like the early phases of like YouTube and the internet, like videos and stuff too, because that was when I was like in high school. I think that was when I was pretty young and that all that stuff was getting popular. So yeah.
Well, what is your background in terms of gaming? Like Like what first off, what games did you grow up playing? And then how did
Mhm.
you get into Hearts of Iron 4?
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm a bit sick today. So yeah, man, my like the very first experience with games was on my family computer, like the old box monitor things, you know, the big like had the glass screen and you know, you turn it on and it would whir up like a power like it'd go like "Whirr," and it would have to take like 5 minutes to get going. You'd have to warm like it would have to warm up to go. So my dad had a game called Road Rash on there. It was basically this kind of like almost 2D game. You would just be racing motorbikes on public roads, and you had weapons like chains and baseball bats, and you'd have to like knock other people off the bikes. That was my first ever game I think I ever played. And then Dad got like a PlayStation 1. We'd play like Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, um, like Colin McRae Rally and stuff like that. So yeah, and then from there I was basically a PlayStation gamer. I was playing like the Medal of Honor games on my PS2. Yeah, like all sorts of stuff like that. And then I didn't really get a gaming PC until when I was at university. There was like a gaming lab, and then my friends and I played PUBG back when that was good. And that made me like that just got me hooked of like wanting to play this game in particular. And then once I got a proper job and I had the money, I built my first rig. It was like a 1060. I don't know. I can't remember all the stats of it, but yeah, basically had like a 1060, cost me like $1,000. And by that point, PUBG was kind of like a dead game, or like it sucked. So yeah, then I started playing like Rainbow Six Siege, Civ, some of those strategy games. Like back when I was a teenager as well, I'd play like Company Heroes online with my friends, with like the most horrible slow internet. Like Australia has the worst internet speeds. I was getting like 500 ping, and my mates were just in the next town. Um, so yeah, I had a friend who he was really into Hearts of Iron, even like Hearts of Iron 3, and he's like, oh, like you need to play this game, like you'd love it. And I'm like, not interested. I was always into World War II and history and stuff, but I just like wasn't interested in this game. And then I don't know, eventually he like got me to try it. I think he even bought me the game possibly. And yeah, he basically spent like tens of hours, probably hundreds of hours, just with me, like in a co-op game, teaching me how to play Hearts of Iron 4. And that was like my first experience. And then I've just literally been hooked. It's like it's my most played game, I think. It's like that and then Rainbow Six Siege. So yeah, I love it. It's so fascinating. I think like once I got into the idea of how it was played, like I couldn't really wrap my head around there not being like units like Total War or something. But yeah, it's so good. It's like there's really no other game in that period like it. So like so much freedom and like so much control as well. Yeah, it's super fun. So
Yeah,
as yeah.
I'd play Total War without the mini game battles. I'm one of those
Oh,
guys.
really?
Yeah, people
Yes.
will probably hate that. Absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I had actually I kind of did the same because I had this old it was just like a school laptop, and I played that's what I played Company Heroes on. It ran like crap on like minimum graphics, and I played Medieval 2 Total War. I put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into that, and if there was a battle that was over like 8 units, I couldn't run it because my computer was
Just
too
be like,
crap. So yeah, like anytime there was a massive battle, I'm like, oh, got to auto resolve. And then there was like a small skirmish between like rebels and my men. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. So yeah,
you
man,
pick
I've
like
been
a
from like
corner of the map or like the woods, and you're just like ambushing them like one
yeah,
at a time.
100%. So corner scumming it is like my favorite tactic. Like just getting like in Rome 2, getting all your pikemen tucked up in the corner, your archers holding them back. Yeah, dude, I'm such a bitch when it comes to playing like that. If there's a exploit like that, I'll do it if it'll save me. So yeah.
So I assume that you're more of a single player like the rest of us in Hearts of Iron 4. Is that correct? Or
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize that there was like such a big multiplayer community until I like started streaming. And then I had so many people joining my chat just being like, "Oh, do you do multiplayer games? Do you do multiplayer games?" And I was like with my friends, yeah, because that was the only way I'd really played. We'd do like the first country I played was Peru, and my friend literally had to sit there brain dead while I'm fucking while I'm building like infrastructure in 1936 as Peru and trying to figure out how to invade my neighbors. So yeah, I like we would just do non-historical nonsense and it was only once I started streaming and people were like wanting to do that. Yeah, we started doing some historical like community games, and they were just like really friendly more than anything. Like, and we maybe had 6 to 8 players, like not like these massive like Tommy K or like Dankus games, or like I watch Bacoan on Twitch sometimes, and like 20 players on one country and stuff. I'm like, what? Like, how does your game run? Like, so yeah, we do like some historical stuff. It was mainly just friendly and for our own enjoyment to be like, oh, like how do we do the naval warfare in the Atlantic? And it really let us, because we weren't playing to a meta, we had a lot of fun being like, oh, like we're going to build anti-sub warfare and how do we get our subs around them, and like doing all kinds of like interesting things. We were kind of more LARPing, I guess, than playing like an actual competitive multiplayer game. But yeah, I've never joined any of them. They don't really interest me. It seems like such a toxic, horrible community sometimes. And I'm sure that there are people that like are really welcoming and not like that. But yeah, like the experience I've had, like I stopped doing the multiplayer games because we had like some bad experience with people just taking it too seriously and, like getting upset when it's just for fun. Like it's just a game at the end of the day. So losing's part of that. So yeah, it's not, I don't do it as much. If I ever do multiplayer now, it's just for fun with my mates. So yeah, I'm assuming you don't play a lot of multiplayer either. Like I don't really think anyone in our little group does a lot of it, right?
Not currently, but I have played a lot of multiplayer. I was hosting games. Apparently I was doing kind of the impossible there, because after talking with Dankus, I was hosting, streaming, and getting the game together myself on my Discord. And like,
is that hard? Is that not possible?
It's almost like you're sitting there like trying to like do like 5 things at once, like read chat, play your country, and people are like, oh, this guy did this, you got to be the rule lawyer or something. And the way Dankus does it, he just shows up, he never hosts, which I think is like, that's how you're able to have better gameplay yourself, but
yeah, that's
also not
fair.
Go crazy.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because like whenever we've done it, because I've been streaming, sometimes it tanks the performance of the game. Like my friend will usually host, and then everyone would just like join on his game, and then but we kind of have like a loose rule set, and we just like if people start being, basically it's pretty much just like playing good faith. It's like if you start being an asshole and like strap bombing the shit out of someone, like if we have to put in a rule to stop people doing that, we will. But like more likely we're just not going to play with you again, because it's for fun, and like we try not to do exploity stuff. One of our friends, he'll try to sneak through exploits, and we've caught him like every time. But it's almost funny at this point, because like he never beats us, so we're kind of just like, oh, like what exploits is like Velo gonna do today? And but yeah, man, like I don't know, like I've actually had a lot of people come through from some of those other communities being like, oh wow, like you're not toxic. And I'm like, fuck, that's so sad. The bar is so low. Like it's not hard to be nice to people. Like I feel so bad for some of these people going like, if that's their only experience of Hoi, then that's like a real shame, because they're like missing out on such a fun game.
Well, I have to kind of like newer players like ask me about that sometime. I have to kind of prep them, but I think it gets that way because people end up paying. Like I'm of the philosophy that you are the 5 people that you hang around. So like if those 5 people are the people that you hang around the most and they're toxic, that gets spread around your. So anyways, I just think it's a lot of people pinging off of each other. But
for sure.
I got to tell you, it was worse. Like Dankus got DDoSed for 6 months straight. There was Tommy found a guy in Latvia. He found out exactly where he was somehow. Don't ask me how. That was crashing all the multiplayer games. He'd go through and one by one crash them all.
Like just the creators, or like any game that was being run?
I don't know. Like obviously he would target it, so like you could figure it out if you watched a stream.
That's crazy. Some people like, bro, go outside, touch grass, like talk to people, like just have some life experiences, man. Like that's so sad.
Every time that you have to reload the game, it gets bugged too. So the more times you reload it, the worse it gets and the more it crashes. So
Yeah. And like on top of that, like, and this isn't just a Hoi specific thing, but like organizing multiplayer games with a large group of people. Oh, I've wanted to put my head through walls so many times. Like even games like I don't do you play much Civ? Like Civ
I
5,
did.
Civ 6 or anything?
I did. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
So you know how like as it gets later, if you ever play with like dynamic turn timer and you get later in the game, a turn will go from being like 30 seconds to like 5 minutes. Anyone listening, if you're one of the motherfuckers that takes that whole 5 minutes every single time, organize your life because that is so frustrating. Everyone's sitting around having to wait forever. A game takes a whole day. Like, who has time for that? So even that aspect in Hoi as well, it's like trying to organize like so many people on their phone, people on TikTok not paying attention, people like start whinging if like something doesn't go their way. Like, oh, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I kind of want to do it again, but more as just like a fun community thing where it's like, let's just all jump in a non-historical game and go silly and, you know, have a fun time. So, yeah, I don't know. It's such a shame that that's like some of the culture though. Like, yeah. And it's definitely not the majority, I would say, but, you know, it's a very vocal minority, like most games, but still frustrating to deal with.
I half want to get back into competitive multiplayer. I'm a competitive guy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's why I play Rainbow Six Siege. My friends and I only play ranked because it's like, and we've even done some tournaments on, we did a couple of tournaments on this is more last year sort of stuff. We pretty much always lost. We won once. We won a first round once, and we were so ecstatic. But it was more just to play in like a more competitive environment. But yeah, man, these days I'm kind of just like getting my competitive itch with Siege. But yeah, like I used to play basketball, and when I was a kid, I'd play like footy and other sorts of sports, and I was always like pretty competitive. I wasn't necessarily good, but I would always cared, and I would always try like, you know, I would always try to win. But like, I don't know, it's definitely a thing. I don't know if it's like the communities are younger, people like don't people haven't learned this, but I feel like a lot of people are just not okay with losing in games, and I don't know if you agree, but
Yeah, no,
you know,
that's correct.
learning how to lose is like that's a skill, I think. Like, and I don't know, man, I feel like sometimes some people just don't have it, and it's really frustrating when you come across them because just learn from it, move on, or like at the end of the day, it's a fucking game. Like, who cares? So that is a big turn off as well. But yeah, what makes you want to get back into it though? Like after everything we've just talked about, like what is it? Just the competitive aspect? Like,
I mean, I grew up playing every sport that you could ever think of. I just love, like, the way I see it is like, yeah, you can play basketball, it's a physical thing, right? And but when you're playing an esport, it's still it's not physical, but like it's your, I don't know, it's just your mind and your game knowledge and
very
everything,
mental. Yeah.
your reactions. It's similar to a
Yep.
real life sport, and I just
Yeah.
want more of that. Like I surf, but that is a solo thing that's very
Yeah.
personal. Like no one ever sees me surf. If they see me,
Yeah.
it's from very far off, and you know, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else but me. So that's like but I would like to get into like multiplayer arenas and things like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That makes sense. I hear what you mean as well. Like, I think it can be harder to be motivated with like those more individual activities. Like even going to the gym and stuff. Like I've fallen off the wagon a little bit in the last couple of months, but like, yeah, when I'm going and I'm going like consistently, it is quite fun to like challenge yourself to push that bit harder every time. But it's a much harder motivation than when you're competing against like other people. Yeah, and I hear what you mean. Like, there's nothing better than whether it's in like the Hoi multiplayer games, even if it's just with friends, or like in any other game when you like outthink someone, you're just like, oh, it feels so good. Like
Well,
there's not many other things that like compare to that for me. Like it's yeah.
well, have you gotten to that spot that we've all gotten where the AI is no longer kind of challenging for you, and you've switched to mods in Hearts of Iron 4, or
I might be about to out myself here. I don't know. I don't really think so because like I don't know. I maybe don't exploit as much as like other people, or I don't like because I just have so little regard for what's meta because I think it's boring. I feel like that probably holds me back a bit as a player where I'm kind of like I'll play more for fun. Like if I want to make a I don't know, if I want to make an infantry division that's like 22 just infantry with no support, I'm going to use that and I'm going to do it because fuck it. Um, sometimes definitely, like if I'm playing a major, I think it's like not hard at all. But I quite like playing against the minor countries and I still lose a lot, especially if it's like, yeah, I think sometimes maybe it is like the overconfidence that comes with it that I try to bite off more than I can chew. And then like I'll be playing as Lithuania and I'll accidentally be at war with Germany and the Soviets at the same time, and I'm like, ah, shit. Um, but yeah, like kinda, this has come up a lot where people ask me like in the comments or like in Twitch, like, oh, what's your favorite mods? It's like I don't really play modded games a lot at all. Like, I think I thought about this. It's kind of I think because I've grew up playing like console, and they mods just simply do not exist. So yeah, even like all the games I play now, I usually just play vanilla. Like the closest I came, I downloaded a bunch of mods for like Skyrim when I first got that, and then I never even played it because I'd already played Skyrim like 5 times. But like, I mean, there are some like the total conversion mods are really fun. I don't really want to play like a modded version of vanilla because I don't want to have to like relearn the whole game like in the mod. Like I think stuff like Old World Blues or like Kaiserreich, things that like change the world sort of completely, give you like a new scenario. Like that's fun for me. Um, but yeah, like a lot of the competitive mods or stuff that people bring in, like they're good for multiplayer, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I kind of want to like them. I want to put time into them, but I just can't be bothered. So yeah, and I feel like that's a very controversial opinion with Hearts of Iron and Paradox in general. All these games are so heavily modded. Um, even like I did a video on Crusader Kings with the Game of Thrones mod that just released.
Oh yeah.
That yeah, that kind of stuff is really fun. Like conversion mods are what I'll get into. Um, but yeah, even like I had a couple of people be like, "Oh, you need to use this like mod to make your management better or something." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll suffer. I don't care." So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've played Kaiserreich before, and that's an incredibly cool universe.
yeah, the creativity of people to make them is awesome.
I mean, I guess the reason why I don't play World of Blues is I was just like, was it Fallout New Vegas fan? And
Yeah,
I don't know. I just want that world to be what it was in that game, I guess. I don't know.
not
Um,
a Fallout 4 fan.
yeah, I played Fallout 4. Yep.
Yeah, I that was the only Fallout game I've played. I like again, like a unpopular opinion with gaming that I've only played Fallout 4, but yeah, I feel like Fallout fans come for you. Like, you didn't play New Vegas? The other ones suck.
Dude, well, New Vegas was the immersion was like they nailed it with all the cool
Yeah.
cowboy stuff, Vegas, and
Mm.
yeah, it was awesome. All the different factions, it was great, dude.
Yeah, I've got a friend that's like super into that. And like I enjoy role-playing games like so much. Like all the Assassin's Creed games have like such a place in my heart of like nostalgia for me growing up. And then the most recent couple have kind of like spoiled it a bit. But like Red Dead Redemption, I'm literally on a replay of Red Dead Redemption 2 right now because it's just such an awesome polished game. Yeah, like the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, like I'm playing the new game now. Yeah, I really enjoy story role playing games. And I don't know, I'd like to bring some of that into like my content too. Like I'll eventually want to be able to make videos and all this stuff and not just be like I don't want to just make Hearts of Iron or like strategy game stuff. Um, but yeah, I just like haven't worked out what my take on it is, I guess, you know? So
And it is hard to kind of like branch out. Like you see bigger guys do that, but it's not going to be like as easy for smaller YouTubers like us to just
yeah,
jump into a new genre and just be, your short has 120K views. Like it would be rough, but I think you could
yeah,
figure it out. You have to definitely get some content out, like have a volume of content to be able to do that, but it's
yeah.
possible.
Yeah, for sure it is. I think that you need to I think you need to be very realistic about it though. Like the majority of people that follow me and watch me for my Hoi content and probably not going to watch me for like if I went and played Jedi Fallen Order or something. I think there is a bit more crossover than we might imagine. Like, you know, I like we both play Hearts of Iron. We're both into like history and World War II and stuff. So, you know, we probably play a lot of the same strategy games, and that probably goes for a lot of our viewers. Like, I did a XCOM 2 stream where I modded like all of the soldiers to look like clone troopers from Star Wars, and I named all the clones after like viewers and chatters, and that was like one of the most fun Twitch playthroughs I've ever done, and I've recorded it and I want to turn it into videos. I was surprised at like the crossover though. There were like Hoi viewers that were coming over being like, "Oh, I love Star Wars. I love like XCOM, the strategy and stuff." But yeah, you just got to like be realistic about it. Like I wouldn't be able to go and play Animal Crossing or like Pokemon, and my viewers would not watch that. But like, yeah, you just be smart about what you play, I think, and like I'm gonna make a second channel for more, I guess, creative. I'll say creative freedom. I sound like such a wanker, but like for a bit more like variation in what I can make over there because it won't matter as much. Like that's kind of how I would approach it. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to do all sorts of stuff. I'd like to have like a history channel or even like a cooking channel or something. Um, it would just be like its own thing though. Like the crossover would be like so minimal, you know?
Yeah, it's I've thought about the same things myself. It's like I want to do this thing and show people, you know, all those different things that you just talked about. And
Yeah.
speaking with Mean the other day, it was quite enlightening because like yourself, like he only has like 12 videos on his YouTube channel.
I saw that the other day and all yeah, man, I feel so not no, I don't feel cheated. I never like want to rag on someone for their success, but like every guide like tutorial channel I saw when I was starting out, they were like be prepared to make 30 or 40 videos with no views before like you figure out what you're doing. And that's pretty much like what I did. Yeah, and it's just like a credit to him and like the quality of his production. Did he have a channel before his current one? Like has he got experience with this or was that his first time?
He's he's a video game developer. So like I don't know how to answer that.
Say less.
But like
say less. That's so cool.
So basically he's in the industry, so he had a leg up in that, but like his whole deal is like
he literally has like a third eye of like I know what works. That's so cool.
Well, it was basically he goes for the platonic video, like the absolute best of the best that he could do. And he like is always challenging himself, but you got to watch the podcast because I'm trying to get him to produce more of a volume of content. So you're like, there's me on one side who just spams out content. Then there's Mean on the other, and then you're like in the middle where you make very quality content, but you have you produce enough of it. I'm trying to get him more towards you to where we get more content. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you mean. I think that kind of like, and from what I've seen, this kind of mindset is a little bit like outdated now. But definitely when I was starting out, it was kind of like, and the way the YouTube algorithm worked, it favored you if you were consistent. So I basically set like a weekly upload schedule. I've kind of had that since like July last year, and I've been pretty consistent with it. I've only missed like a week or two here and there. But yeah, I pretty much do like a weekly upload, like a long form video on Saturdays. And then I try to do 2 shorts a week, shorts/TikToks. Which isn't enough for TikTok, but like my goal isn't really to grow on TikTok. It's just to like have a presence there. And I think 2 a week for shorts is like plenty. And then, yeah, and I've started doing like these, like the dev diary updates and stuff. Now that like Paradox has kindly included me into like the early access for the dev diaries and stuff, helps me get ahead of it a little bit. Like, I quite enjoy those like news videos from other channels. Yeah, it's hard to do them and make it interesting. But yeah, like I don't know, I get what you mean. I thought about, you know, there's kind of 2 approaches. Like you can go to Mean's approach where it's like super high production quality, Videos that come out less frequently, but when they do, like, damn, you know, they're going to be good. Um, or yeah, like more frequently where like you're more present. So I kind of lean towards that because sometimes I think that sometimes I feel like some of the effort that I might put in may go unnoticed. And you know, at the end of the day, I want to be successful at this. Like my end goal is to make a career out of doing this. So I kind of have to be realistic about like where I spend my time, you know, which is a bit of a shame because I would like to put a lot more effort in. But you know, it's like cost benefit with everything. So
Well, I'll tell you, like a guy like me or Bitter, I was never editing my stuff. I was just doing it as like for fun for a couple of years
yeah,
there, and then I started editing it, and I like threw out my back because I spent like 16 hours in a chair, and then I had to
wow.
drive the next day, like on vacation, and I just like my back like spasmed. But
Which video is it? Which video is the spasm video?
I believe it's the one that Bitter first contacted me about. It was the Macedonia build, which is fairly challenging to do. He contacted me and he said like, I saw your video and I really liked it, and you taught me a new strat. Can I use this and make my own videos? Like, copy whatever you
That's
want,
cool.
do whatever you want. And I was like, I challenge you to make it better, and he did.
That's
He
cool.
did. So I'm really proud of that.
Always. I don't know, like, I don't know how he comes up with some of the ideas that he does. It's super impressive. Yeah. I think that's probably another bit of advice as well is like, there's nothing wrong with like taking ideas from other people so long as you don't copy like exactly what they're doing. Because coming up, like, to be completely honest, coming up with original ideas all the time is really hard. And I don't think it's even sustainable. Like, especially if you're doing like a consistent upload, like Jesus, I think take things that work well for other people and put your own unique twist on it. That's fine. But yeah, don't like, obviously don't copy people, but oh man, it's like, yeah, that's one thing I've thought about. Like, if I end up doing this full time, I'll want to be posting videos like either daily or every other day. It's like, how am I going to sustain the ideas? Like, I sometimes struggle to come up with one idea a week at the moment. Like, I'll get a batch of ideas and then I'm sort of blank for a little while. So, yeah, that's like a talent I'm yet to learn, I think.
Dude, when you talk about like stuff like that, I think of feedback gaming, and yeah, I really respect Dave and his work, but there's a grinder there
Yeah,
like Bitter, and yeah, his
it's crazy.
content is I can only think of the grind that he has to go through to keep up the pace, because you saw that I think he's got 3 channels, but like 2 of them are big. He's got more of like a
Do you
short
mean
form
feedback
feedback
or
gaming.
bitter?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that was one of the things. Like, I know I know he cops a lot of flack, and I think like a lot of it's unwarranted. But like on one of his side channels, he talked a bit about like some of the health issues he's gone through in the past, and it
Yeah.
like gave me a lot more. Not like a lot more respect, but it just made me like kind of appreciate a bit more. Like, this is already challenging, and like, you know, you can like you throw hate at people sometimes. Like, some people get hate thrown at them, but it's like you never really know what people are going through. So it's like a nice reminder to just be a bit nicer to people, I think. But yeah, dude, it's so impressive when people can sustain that much production and still for it to be interesting. Um, I think like at that point, that's when it's more worthwhile to have like editors that you like that work for you, and you know, utilize a lot more of like your streams and stuff if you're doing that. But yeah, it is really impressive. That's the difference I think between people maybe around like our level, and then yeah,
Well,
the guys at the top.
it's like be careful what you wish for, because I have seen the same content that you're referring to, and it seemed
Mm,
to me like he gets ground down a bit, and
yeah,
he said on stream like he streams, I like his stream, and he's just like, sometimes I just get tired of it. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, guys.
yeah,
I get it. But the other thing is like, be careful what you wish for, because when you're one of those guys that are at the top, if you're popular, you're going to get all the negativity from
yeah,
people's, egos telling them that I could do what you're doing. So
Yep.
like trying to diminish what you're doing basically. And I think
Yeah.
that's just like a human nature thing, unfortunately, but it is what it
Yep.
is.
Do you guys have this saying in America as well? In Australia, we call it tall poppy syndrome, where like if someone is doing really well and they've like grown tall, everyone around them just like cut them down. They try to cut them down and like diminish their accomplishments. Like I'm sure there's a similar phrase for it, but like yeah, it's such a big part of Australian culture. And dude, it sucks so much. Like you were mentioning before about like you very much are reflective of the people that you surround yourself with. I'm like really lucky that all of my friends around me and like my partner are all like super supportive of what I do, and you know, they always back me, but they'll like tell me if I've got a bad idea, if I'm like not doing something that's like, if I'm not doing something that's like good, or if I'm, you know, being a dick, basically, they'll tell me. But yeah, like I'm lucky that my little echo chamber is super supportive of me and what I do. And I think like everyone needs that. Otherwise, you can't really do it on your own. You can't be out on an island. You need people to help you.
Well,
So yeah.
Mean said that he got his name because he was mean early on in his days on the internet. So I said, I
Yeah.
asked him,
He told me that too, yeah.
how do you keep your ego in check? He said, my wife.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. That's so true. And I think, you know, that's what your partner should be too, right? Like they support you, they keep like keep you grounded a bit, but they're like, you know, just always there to support you. And even yeah, even if his wife is saying something to him, like it's only to make him a better person, or to, you know, keep him like I guess being, you know, who he wants to be. So that's what they're there for.
So,
That's why you need them.
I think that's absolutely true. You mentioned the tall poppy syndrome. Do we have that here? That you've touched on a part of American society that is lacking, but the Australians like get it. Like I watch a lot of content creators from Australia because you guys have colloquialisms that basically it I don't know, it keeps people in check so that your ego doesn't get too big. In America, we do not have anything like that saying. Um, and it's more like through the rap genre that we have something even close to that. And it's just like ignore the haters, basically.
Yeah.
But no, and like, I'm fascinated about like all the Australian colloquialisms and everything like that. It's really a cool culture you guys got down there.
Yeah. And sometimes thank you, firstly. It's it's something that I definitely can get carried away with because you know, like I've been lucky enough to do a bit of traveling throughout my life, and anytime an Australian's overseas, they dial their accent up so much, firstly, but then also you just like right now, a lot of the phrases that we say just like slip my mind. But when we're overseas, we become the most stereotypical like slang using people around because it's just I mean me anyway. It's just like I don't know. It's like a show off thing, I guess, a bit, but um yeah, I have to like remember a lot of the times, whether it's in my videos, replying to comments and stuff. Sometimes things don't make sense to other people. And some of the phrases are horrible too. Like they don't make a lot of sense. Like I had a video on I don't know how to do something, and someone replied with like a different way to do it. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. Like the normal way to reply to that is like, oh, that's really good. Like there's more than one way to do something. But my like instinct was to be like, yep, that's great. There's more than one way to skin a cat, which is like an Australian slang, which of you know more than one way to do something. But like, why is this so horrible? Like I don't know. Yeah, or like if there's a large room, it's like, oh, there's enough room to swing a cat in here. A few of them are cat related. I don't know why, but yeah, it is a unique part of Australian culture, and I think it is something that I guess we take a lot of pride in. There's a lot of like yeah, there's definitely a lot of exaggeration, particularly when you're around people from like other countries and when you're traveling. I don't know why we're a bit like kind of idiots sometimes, but yeah, it's I don't know. I don't want to like lose who I am in terms of trying to make things understandable to people. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm conscious that I don't want to make my videos like illegible. I don't want people to watch it and be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But yeah, no, I like sprinkling it in there. I think I'm a bit more like organic when I'm on stream because you know, I can clarify and I can riff with people and there's a back and forth and yeah, like you were saying before about feedback being like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I stopped streaming sort of just before Christmas until like Feb or March. Just because I was like burnt out and I was only doing like 3 days a week and it wasn't my job. So yeah, I just like wanted to make videos and it wore me down. And now I'm only doing one a week. I'm like way more high energy. I have more fun ideas. I enjoy it a lot more. And yeah, I can be more Australian. um, yeah, it's interesting though. Like people have that from every country. I don't know. People just seem to be like romanticized by the Australian accents and everything, which is great for me. It works in my favor.
Yeah, definitely. And what you're saying about the live streaming was like Pigeon's greatest regret was that he spent so much time on Twitch live streaming. Um, but like YouTube
Yeah.
is like jazz, play less notes, and then I look at Twitch as like heavy metal. Just you're hitting everything you possibly can. You're on all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of sucks about Twitch is like to grow organically on there, you just have to be like present all the time.
Yes,
And that's not like a theory. Like all the top streamers, like
yes,
XQC, Moist Critical, like if you look at like Pokimane, Cutie Cinderella, Ludwig when he was there, all those huge streamers, they're present all the time. And like they've got presences on other platforms, but a lot of them grew on there just because they were always there. And like, especially now, the only way to make it is to have like something interesting, high quality, and to be present. Because the harsh reality is people can only devote their attention to one stream at a time, even if they lurk in like four or five. But like, you know, people, if you're not live when they're going onto Twitch, they're going to go somewhere else. They'll go to some other streamer and they might end up hanging out there when you're live next. So, yeah, it's a pretty unforgiving platform. And I think that's why I like YouTube a lot more. There's not the pressure of like performing because you are performing. It's like you're basically doing stand up just in front of a camera. Um, but yeah, like YouTube is a lot more forgiving. You can polish and control what you put out. You can make it like really good quality. If you don't like something, you can scrap it. And then even with the comments and stuff, like if someone says a comment, you don't have to reply straight away. Like, you know, a lot of my comments come in overnight because of time zones. So I'll wake up in the morning, grab a coffee, reply to comments. Like it's a lot more laid back and like flexible way of doing things. So, but everyone has this mentality when they start out of like, oh, I want to be a streamer. Man, like why? It's so hard.
yeah.
Way easier to be a YouTuber.
The community on YouTube seems to be much more well behaved. Twitch,
Yep.
I haven't done a lot of Twitch streaming, but the ones that I have, just like super weird, like chat's weird, and then like YouTube
Yeah.
just seems like normal. Like I don't know, these are just like my viewers, my people. But on Twitch, it was like some guy came across my stream, has no idea who I am, and like wants to
Yeah.
try to razz me or something, and it has no idea about anything that's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like something to do with like the live. Also, I'm sorry if there's background noise. I live near a footy oval and I just heard the siren and I'm like, you can probably hear that. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. People, something about the live aspect of it. People just want to mess with you. It's all part of it, I guess. It's like, it's kind of fun in a way. I think sometimes when people come through and they're trying to start shit, if there's like a few other chatters there, I don't know. It's like, I kind of like making a statement about, oh, we're not like putting up with that here, and I can like get rid of them, and then I think it kind of builds a bit of trust with the rest of your community because I always try to convey like to be a very welcoming. Like I try to make my like stream and my like whether it's my Discord or my YouTube, try to make it a very welcoming place for people. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I like to think that you know maybe there's someone watching that's a little bit like unsure, and then you know me making it clear that this is like I'm not going to be putting up with dickheads here. Like you don't have to worry about that stuff. That makes them feel a bit more comfortable because they're the kind of environments that I like to spend time at the end of the day. So yeah, it's man, Twitch can be very hit or miss, I think. You kind of have to be careful the kind of community that you foster as well. Like if you're making videos, yeah, if you're making videos that are like more on like the wearaboo side of stuff, where it's just like a lot of memes, a lot of like edgy humor, they're the kind of people that you're going to attract, and you have to be prepared to deal with that. And like, if that's your people, that's fine. But you know, it's not for everyone. Yeah, you really like foster the community that you like set an example for, I guess. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
No, I totally agree. So that's for those of you who are watching, that's what we struggle with as content creators. First off, Hamo said earlier the fear of the imposter syndrome, and then the fear
Yeah.
of rejection, and like the fear of like embarrassment if you make a mistake. And that was like one of Hamo's best videos. So like
Yeah.
sometimes it's a happy mistake, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, very true. It's like, I don't know, you kind of just have to get over it. There's no way to like anything, like practice makes perfect, and the only way to get more comfortable with it is just to like pull the trigger and do it. Um, so yeah, you know, if you are sitting on a video that you're not sure about and you're like nervous to post it because of like any backlash you might get, yeah, you just have to do it. Just put it up there and put it out into the world. Do it before you go to bed and then wake up the next day and deal with it and try not to stress about it. But yeah, there's no other way around it, unfortunately. It's like public speaking in a way. I mean, you've probably gotten, I like to talk a lot. I like to waffle on a bit, but I hate public speaking, like standing up in front of a room of people to present or to speak. Yeah, and I was like a school captain in high school as well, so I had to do that a bit. I hated every minute of it. But like, I like streaming and talking crap with people, and I like making videos. I like being in a group of friends in a social environment and being the center of attention and making a dick out of myself for a laugh. But yeah, you put me on a stage or something, I'm like sweaty palms. So yeah, I don't know if you're the same. Like, what's your background with streaming? I should ask. Like, did you come from an area of like presenting or entertainment or anything, or you just doing it for fun?
I just doing it for fun. Like I said, I was playing a lot of sports, and then when I wasn't playing a lot of sports, I was trying to get out of schoolwork playing like all sorts of games. A lot of the games you talked about, Counter Strike,
Yeah,
Civilization, on and on and on, and just the either I'm competing with the AI against other people, figuring out new things. I guess my thing is to try to do challenging things. That's what
yeah,
feeds me my soul. Like going out surfing, it's not very easy and can be very scary, cold, and
yeah,
etc. So YouTube was one of those things. It was just another thing, and I've always been like, you could tell by my content style because it's all over the place. Well, that's why I'm constantly trying to like push the edge of what
yeah,
I can do, I guess. Like try to
yeah,
prove
for
to
sure.
myself that I could do all these things, I guess. I don't know.
No, I get you, man. And it takes time to it takes time to find your thing and where you feel comfortable. Like, I still can't really watch my first maybe 5 to 10 videos because at that point I was still like finding my feet. And I'm a lot more comfortable with what I do now. Whereas I think part of it, a healthy part of like making content is watching it back to be like, am I happy with this? But yeah, it took me, man, it took me a while to even put my face on videos because I was just like, oh, what if my friends see this? What if people from work see this? What if my family see this? Like, people are gonna make fun of me, like, you know, all this sort of insecurities that come out. And I started doing it, and I'm like, man, I actually really like how these videos, like, I like how they're presented now. It's putting like a face to the name, I guess. Makes it more personal, like more personable, I guess, as well. Um, but yeah, man, I get comments about like the gap in my teeth and stuff still, like, which is something I got bullied about in high school. But yeah, I'm just like chill about it now. And like, yeah, I don't know, man. It takes time to get comfortable with it. And I know I'm not really big enough to get like severe backlash, but the few comments I've gotten, I've been able to deal with fine, and that kind of makes me a bit more comfortable to keep pushing. But yeah, like it takes time to find, I guess, the limits and what you want to do and what you like. So yeah. And I don't think your content's all over the place, by the way. I think it's like, it's nice to test things, and it's cool seeing you do like different concepts because you don't know what's going to work unless you try it. So, you know, it's like better to do it like that, I think. I think I hold back a lot. I should take more from the way you approach it, honestly. Because yeah, I found like a happy medium of like, oh, this stuff works okay, and sometimes I don't try new ideas because I'm like, oh, what if it flops? Like it will be a waste of my time. But yeah, you got to push yourself.
Yeah, well, you seem like Mean on the other hand, he could not do that, but you seem like you could. Like people pointing out like you know like your teeth or something, that unfortunately like is just weakness that those people are showing,
Yeah,
expressing that weakness of themselves, projecting it onto you. Um I personally think that it makes you very recognizable. Um
yeah,
and
it's the
I
London
like it.
look.
Well, it also, I don't know, I like it. It's a cool feature. Um,
Yeah, it's all like all this stuff. Like whether people like you might feel like the insecurities and stuff, whether it's about your body or about your personality. You know, it's like part of what makes you who you are. At the end of the day, like if you've got people watching your videos, watching your stream, that's something I always try to remember is that's like real human beings taking time out of their day to like watch me be a nuisance online, which is pretty cool. So, you know, the majority of people like you, like you said, fuck the haters. They've got like their opinion means nothing at the end of the day. So, but yeah, it's hard to get past that. It's easy for us to sit here and say that, but you know, it's hard, especially for a lot of people to get past that.
it's part of that mental gymnastics though, and I'm glad that you're doing everything that you're doing because you're challenging yourself basically, and you're going to be a better person for it. So I'm glad you're doing all this stuff. But I'll
Thanks,
leave
man.
you. Yeah, no problem. I'll leave you with one last question, and that is, what piques your interest about World War II? Bring it back around to Hearts of Iron 4.
Yeah, that's such a good question. It's like, man, I've always been interested in it. It's like an unfathomable part of our history, and it's such a massive, like, it was such a massive, unprecedented, like, part of human history. Like, it's so impossible to comprehend the scale of these events, and like, the more you learn, like, you know, the more like horrific it is. But then also like there are so many inspiring stories that come out of it too. Like when I was a kid, like a project I did at school was we had to research like some Victoria Cross winners, which are like the Victoria Cross is the Medal of Honor for like the Commonwealth countries, right? And yeah, man, like some of the stories coming out of that, and like war's not all about heroics and stuff, but even like you hear stories about individuals that stood up to the Nazis in Europe or like just even sacrifices people had to make back home. No one like no one in my life, and I very likely will never experience anything like that sort of event. Yeah, it's just so fascinating. There's so many levels to it, so many layers of complexity. Had such an impact on how we live today, and I think I've only begun to appreciate that a bit more recently. Like the whole layout of our world would be entirely different if that had never happened. Um, you know, like you know, like the butterfly effect, like one little thing can, you know, change like the whole course of how something might play out. Like that conflict encompassed like basically the entire globe. Yeah, it's like it's hard to put it down to one thing. Um, I like Hearts of Iron because I think I actually learn from it. Not in the way of like, oh, I learn like what happens in the game happens in real life. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, even for example, the war in Asia, as an Australian, we are geographically like so closely related to that. And we hear about some of the war in the Pacific, but even the war in China, like I really didn't even know that that was such a large scale conflict until I guess really playing Hearts of Iron and this thing kept popping up. And I'm like, what is that about? And then I researched it. I'm like, holy shit, like so many people were involved in this. And
Japan
yeah,
invaded Northern Australia too, didn't they? With a
yeah,
very
like
small contingent, paratroopers or
they
something.
they didn't actually land here. They bombed Darwin, which is like one of our most northern cities. And there's like I can't remember if it was like a theory or like an actual thing, but a Japanese midget submarine was like sunk in Sydney Harbor or was like spotted in Sydney Harbor. I can't remember, but yeah, it's like but even that, right? It's like you know, a lot of people I know have family or like people that either served or involved somehow. Um I don't know if I know the US is like you guys have a big culture of supporting your veterans and everything. It's not as big in Australia, but every year we have like our big Veterans Days, like Anzac Day, and there'll be like marches in the town where the old veterans will go on march and stuff. And yeah, I don't know, like as a kid was always interested by that and like why that was happening. And yeah, I don't know, you just start reading and like anything that piques your interest a bit, I guess. You just start reading and the more you learn, the more there is to uncover and the more there is to try and understand. And you may never fully understand it because you can't. But yeah, it's so fascinating. Uh I'm not a super big podcast guy. Like there's a couple of podcasts that I listen to, but one of the best ones was this one. It's called The History of World War II by Ray Harris Jr.
Oh wow.
He's yeah, he's this like American professor, but he's got like oh man, there's probably like 350 episodes or something by now. And he goes through the whole lead up to World War II. He spends maybe like 15, 20 episodes each on like Hitler, Churchill, Mussolini, Stalin, all the leaders and stuff. Yeah, he gets like really deep into the details and it's so interesting. Yeah, I learned a lot. Even like on my bookshelf behind me, the whole bottom level is like war history books. Um, yeah, such a good question, and it's so hard to answer because there's so many things to it.
Well, I listened to
Yeah,
Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and
yeah, I think I've heard some of that. Yeah,
his work on the Celtic genocide by the Romans was fantastic. But
yeah,
his he has a whole series on the World War II in the East, and that
okay,
was
yep,
he talks about the Sino-Japanese War and
yeah, dude. Even
blows you
like,
away.
yeah, not to like, I don't want to be like a down or anything, but yeah, some of the like horrific experiences, you know, I feel like you learn about it as a kid and you're like, oh, that's bad. And then you become an adult, and I don't know, it's just like with maturity or like maybe you go through some experiences of your own, but it's like, I don't know, it just gives you like a much deeper like appreciation of just how horrible some of these things were that people lived through and came out the other side and then lived with for 60, 70 years and never spoke a word about. Like, yeah, it's just mind blowing. And like the scale, you know, like there are battles on the Eastern Front or in China where there were like millions of people involved across like an area. It's like, there's like barely a million people in my city. Like, imagine this entire city, like all of Melbourne and all of Sydney out on the streets, like fighting with each other. Like, that's, you literally can't imagine that. Like, it's impossible to imagine. Like to truly imagine, like to truly understand that. It's, yeah, it's just so, yeah, I don't know. There's so many layers. It's like an onion. It's like Shrek.
Well,
There's a lot of layers to peel back on that onion.
I think that there's the what I equate it to in its basic form is like, oh, we're monkeys that are evolving, and this is
Mm,
just an unfortunate consequence of evolution. And then I'm able
yeah.
to look at, you know, what happened and learn from it and realize that we're not these great noble beings that we think we are. But you have to continuously, like as we march along, like evolve to be better humans, basically, or else this stuff's gonna
Yeah.
happen again.
For sure. And like, you know, people have been fighting other people since the caveman days, since like, you know, Unga Bunga would hit other Unga Bunga on the head with a stick.
Yeah.
But now like the sticks are a lot fucking bigger and a
Yeah.
lot more deadly. Even that is like fascinating. Like I think I know the most about like 20th century history and World War II in particular. But like as you look through all of history and it's like different innovations of technology, you're like, oh wow, like, you know, like gunpowder was invented, like that's such a cool feature. Like, what can they use it for? Oh, killing other people. And like all these inventions, a lot of them coming out, like they're groundbreaking inventions come out of like necessity in war. Like aviation revolutionized through like the Second World War and like, you know, the creation of jet engines and stuff, which we all like use today and rely on today, whether it's like freight or travel. And yeah, that was like founded during the most deadly conflict in history. Yeah, man, it's like it's crazy. So interesting to think about. And so grateful that I'm very privileged to live in a country that was so far away from it and is so far away from any wars, and I can very much remove myself from that, and I'm very fortunate. But yeah, it's like everyone should learn about it. Like, there's a lot of lessons to be taken, like you say, to make sure things don't repeat themselves. Which, sadly, you kind of see stuff happening again, and you're like, oh, this seems familiar, and it's like, you kind of wonder like, how can we keep fucking this up? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What I always find fascinating is you guys are like, yeah, really far away, but you always send troops. It's like
Yeah.
that's what's awesome about Australia, man. It's like you could
Yeah.
completely ignore everything that's going on and you probably be okay. But
Yeah.
you guys have the fighting spirit. I love that.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like, even I've gotten more interested in, I guess, what you call like geopolitics, I guess, recently. And obviously, the war in Ukraine's happening, but even, Australia was involved in Afghanistan pretty much since the start, alongside you guys and, a lot of other countries and stuff. And like my uncle served in various places, which I probably shouldn't say because yeah, he always was like real cagey about it. But like, yeah, like Australia's been involved in a lot of like minor or like, sort of more like regionally located conflicts. And yeah, learning about like why that is, like, why did we go to Korea? Why did we go to Korea after World War II when we lost like so many men? Or why did we go to Vietnam, and why did we go to, like Malaysia and stuff like that, and East Timor and all these other places that people like may not have heard of. So yeah, it's like really interesting. And it's such a unique. I'm looking at the map I've got on the wall. Sorry to like visualize it, but yeah, we're in like a unique position. Yeah, we're in like a unique position of being like a Western country, but we're like yonks away from everyone else in the West. Like, yeah, it's. I think it leads to like an interesting dynamic here, which it's kind of in the. I think again, like everyone should travel because what do they say? Like travel stamps out ignorance or something. You learn so much about other cultures and other people when you're overseas, and it takes away a lot of your prejudices. And yeah, I think like I've realized like how very fortunate we are, like to be where we are, just by like traveling and seeing other places and everything. Because yeah, my first time overseas was in Vietnam, and it's not like like it's not the most poor country in the world by any means, but like the first bus ride from the airport, we were going past areas where people living in like tin sheds on the side of the road, and it's like I've never seen that back home. So yeah, I think you can take that from history too, and maybe that's why I'm so interested in World War II, to tie it back to your original question, I guess. Yeah.
That was a great answer, and
I feel like I rambled on so much. I'm sorry.
you touched a lot of good areas, but I think we're gonna end it there. This was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Check out HammoTime or HammoTimee. Just kidding.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Yes, check out HammoTimee. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me on. It's actually been really nice. Like I've seen some of your other episodes. And literally, when I was like listening to them, I was like, "Damn, I would love to get on and like chat with you." So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's always a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much, mate. Bye.
Bye.